Did you ever wonder how strong the Straw Hats will be by the end of the series? Which new abilities and power-ups will they unlock? And most importantly, what will their final bounties be? Well, after thoroughly analyzing each Straw Hat member for months and finding patterns in their bounties, I finally got answers to all of these questions. For example, Chopper is definitely overdue for a power-up, and the one that I'd really like to see him get is Armament Hockey. Now don't get me wrong, Chopper is already pretty strong, which he proved by doing surprisingly well against Queen during the raid. But if he just learned Armament Hockey, it would increase the strength of his physical attacks at least a few times. Then there's his Devil Fruit. I guess you could say that Monster Point is already Chopper's awakened form, which he has to force out using his special yellow pills. However, by the end of the series, I expect Chopper to completely master this form to the point that he can use it for much longer periods of time without needing his Rumble Balls. But at the end of the day, let's not forget that Chopper is the doctor of the crew, so the sad reality is that he may not actually get any decent power-ups until the end of the story. Also, I doubt Oda will stop with the joke about him being only the pet of the crew, so his bounty will be nowhere close to the other Straw Hats. Chopper's first bounty was 50 berries. The second one was 100 berries, and the one right now is 1,000 berries. Going by this, Chopper's last bounty will most likely only be 5,000 berries. There are still 9 Straw Hats left to cover, and some of their powers and bounties will be absolutely crazy. Nami, the Cat Burglar. Nami has always been considered a part of the weakling trio of the Straw Hats, but ever since she got Zeus, she has become a real baller. However, despite her newly acquired powers, there's still a few ways she could get even stronger. First of all, she could eat a Devil Fruit, but this doesn't really seem likely as her climax already grants her Devil Fruit-like abilities. Armament or Conqueror's Hockey are also a big no for her, but I guess she could benefit from Observation Hockey a bit, as it may allow her to throw attacks from a much greater distance, similar to how Usopp managed to hit that subscribe button from miles away in Dressrosa, or something like that. Anyway, the coolest thing by far would be if her climb attack gets upgraded on Egghead, which is a real possibility considering Vegapunk's skills and knowledge. I don't know if you ever noticed, but Nami's bounties have always had the number 6 in them. Her first bounty was 16 million berries, the second one was 66 million berries, and the current one is 366 million berries. Since Nami doesn't really care about her bounty and would rather keep it as low as possible, I don't think she'll ever reach that 1 billion mark, so we can expect her final bounty to most likely be around 616 million berries. Brook, the Soul King. Brook doesn't know hockey right now, so there's definitely a possibility that he'll learn it in the future. Since Brook is a supporting character, if he does learn hockey eventually, it'll most likely be Observation Hockey so he can better support his crewmates in battle. However, the most interesting power-up Brook could get is the awakening of his Devil Fruit. The Yomi Yomi no Mi is definitely one of the most unique fruits out there, as it can literally bring users back to life. It also has other cool abilities like allowing Brook to separate his soul from his body and essentially become a ghost. So what kind of abilities would awakening of this fruit grant to Brook? Well, although this is purely speculation, based on other awakenings we've seen in the series so far, Brook may be able to project his abilities on the world around him. For example, he may be able to separate other people's souls and bodies, or maybe even consume the souls of other people in order to temporarily gain their abilities. All of this sounds really cool, and if Brook ever held a concert again, he could literally give his audience an out-of-the-body experience. If you look at Brook's previous bounties, you'll see that Oda, the creator of One Piece, loves to pair Brook with the numbers 3 and 8. His first bounty was 33 million berries, his second was 83 million, and his current one is 383 million. Based on this, Brook's fourth and final bounty will most likely be 838 million berries. Although this is a pretty impressive number for Brook, it's nothing compared to some of the bounties we'll talk about later. Iron Man Franky. Franky is already pretty strong, no doubt about it, which he proved in Wano when he single-handedly defeated Sasaki of the Tobi Roppo. But the real question is, how strong can he get? Franky is another crewmate who doesn't know hockey, and due to him relying mostly on his physical force during fights, I think learning Armament Hockey would be really fitting for him. Also, just imagine a cyborg coated in matte black. It would look so badass. Although Franky didn't get any real power up in Wano, the crew is currently on Egghead Island, and there's no way Franky is getting out of there without an absurd power up. Who knows? Oda may even ditch his bulky design and give him something entirely new. Whatever the case may be, Franky is one of the characters who literally has infinite potential for improvement, as he can always integrate new, stronger materials with his body and add any new weapons he makes. Once Luffy becomes the Pirate King and the story ends, I'd expect Franky to be similar to Queen in terms of strength. His bounty will also get significantly higher than it currently is, and there's a simple reason for that: the ancient weapon Pluton. During the Water 7 arc, we learned Franky has a connection to Pluton, as he was once the holder of its blueprints. This is why a lot of fans speculate that he'll be the one who eventually finds or maybe even creates Pluton out of Thousand Sunny. If this happens, his bounty will skyrocket, probably to 1,394,000,000 berries. If you're wondering why I chose this specific number for Frankie, I'll explain it a bit more when we get to Usopp's bounty. God Usopp. If more than 1,000 One Piece episodes are anything to go by, Usopp most likely isn't going to get any power up in the traditional sense, and he's going to stay about as strong as he is right now. I mean, that's kind of the point of his character. The moment he becomes actually strong and brave, his dream will be accomplished, and that's why Oda has made sure to keep him the same old coward no matter what he accomplishes in the story. However, there's one interesting potential power-up Usopp could unlock: the Conqueror's Haki. Okay, I know this sounds ridiculous, but there are some things hinting towards it. You all know how most of Usopp's lies eventually come true in the end, and one of his most recent lies during the Wano arc was having Conqueror's Haki. This is why a lot of fans think that it's a real possibility he'll unlock it in the upcoming arcs. Other than that, another one of his lies is that he'll lead an army of 8,000 soldiers. We know that Usopp has a strong connection to all the giants he met throughout the story, so could it be that when he finally gets to the Giants Island Elbaf, he'll somehow become their leader? This would be really cool to see, and would make the great warrior Usopp feared around the world. Now we know that Usopp's bounties often rhyme with Luffy's. Each of their starting bounties was 30 million berries, and Usopp's current bounty is 500 million, which was Luffy's bounty after Dressrosa. Judging by this, it's most likely Usopp's final bounty will be exactly 1.5 billion berries, same as Luffy's previous bounty. Let's go back to Frankie's bounty for a bit, as I still owe you an explanation for that one. I said his bounty is going to be exactly 1,394,000,000 berries, and that's because Frankie's past two bounties have been exactly 106 million lower than Usopp's. Since we estimated that Usopp's final bounty will be 1.5 billion, it's only logical that Frankie gets this odd number. There are still 5 more Straw Hats left to cover, and the next one is Nico Robin, the Devil Child. Robin's fight against Black Maria in Wano was pretty much her first proper fight since Skypiea, which was almost 20 years ago. However, during this recent fight, Robin did get one huge power-up, Demonio Fleur, which allows her to spawn a giant copy of her upper body with giant wings, resembling a devil. Now the question is, can this new form be considered a Devil Fruit awakening? Hana no Mi is a really unique Devil Fruit, as it already allows Robin to affect her surroundings by spawning as many of her body parts as she wants. This is usually something only the users of awakened Devil Fruits can do, which is why I think Robin's Devil Fruit is already kind of awakened and she won't be getting any new Devil Fruit related power-ups. However, when it comes to Haki, she definitely has a lot of room for improvement, and I think she'll definitely master it in the coming arcs. Imagine her throwing thousands of armament Haki slaps. It would suit her fighting style so well. So what about her bounty? Unfortunately, there isn't any numerical pattern we can follow when it comes to Robin, as her bounties are all over the place. But considering how important she is due to her ability to read poneglyphs, her affiliation with the Revolutionary Army, as well as the fact that she'll undoubtedly reach Laugh Tale at some point, I'd say around 1,950,000,000 berries seems about right for her. Jinbei, the Knight of the Sea. Jinbei is a character that genuinely doesn't need a power-up. What he needs is a good opportunity to showcase his abilities. The only serious fight he had in the story was against Who's Who, and he won that one pretty easily. Even pre-time skip, Jinbei was portrayed to be Ace's rival in terms of strength, meaning that right now he should be much stronger than him. But if I had to choose one power-up Jinbei is going to unlock towards the end of the series, I'd say with a lot of certainty that it'll be Conqueror's Haki. Conqueror's Haki is all about willpower, and Jinbei definitely showcased a lot of it during his epic scene with Big Mom, showing he didn't fear the Emperor in the slightest. Another possible power-up for Jinbei would be a Devil Fruit, but considering how pretty much no fishermen have Devil Fruit powers, this is highly unlikely. When it comes to bounties, Jinbei currently has the 3rd highest in the crew, right between Zoro and Sanji. However, if it helps Sanji fans feel any better, Jinbei's next bounty probably won't have that much of an increase, putting him around 2.2 billion berries. Blackleg Sanji. During Wano, Sanji proved to be above Emperor Commander tier. He's probably comparable to someone like Marco in terms of strength, but considering he's one of the main fighters of the Straw Hats, it's obvious that he'll get even stronger. The Ifrit Jumbe he used in Wano after awakening his genetic enhancements may not be the power-up we were all expecting, but it definitely is a cool one, and was enough to steamroll Queen. Until the end of the series, Sanji will get a better understanding of his Germa genes, and use them to create an even hotter version of the Diable Jumbe. Since Sanji is a prince of the Germa Kingdom, it's possible that at some point in the future he'll be able to command all of Germa's special forces. This will most likely happen in the final war against the world government, and will earn Sanji a monstrous final bounty of 3.3 billion berries. Before we cover the man himself, Monkey D. Luffy, and his ridiculous end of the story bounty, let's first cover his right-hand man, Roronoa Zoro, the Pirate Hunter. Zoro's future power-ups may be the most straightforward out of all the Straw Hats. If he ever plans on surpassing Mihawk, he'll need to figure out how to turn his swords into black blades. If I had to guess, I'd say the first sword he'll turn black will be Wado Ichimonji, simply because that's the sword Zoro has the strongest connection to, as it was previously wielded by his childhood friend, Kuina. Other than turning his swords black, he'll also find a supreme grade blade and add it to his arsenal. I mean, Roger had one, Whitebeard also had one, and of course, Mihawk's sword Yoru is also a supreme grade blade. It only makes sense that Zoro gets one too, but which one will he get? Well, other than the supreme grade blades I just mentioned, the only known one is Shodai Kitetsu. We have no idea where this blade currently is. Maybe that bald guy from the Five Elders has it? Whatever the case, it's surely the most befitting sword for Zoro, considering he already has one blade from the Kitetsu series. Other than the sword-related power-ups, Zoro may also learn advanced observation haki at some point, as that's the only haki type he still hasn't unlocked. Since Zoro is expected to become the world's strongest swordsman by the end of the series, his bounty will have to be higher than Mihawk's, putting him at around 3.6 billion berries. Straw Hat Luffy. To be completely honest, it's hard to see Luffy getting another major power-up. He's already awakened a mythical Zoan fruit and has advanced mastery of all three forms of haki. He's also defeated Kaido, who is considered the strongest creature in the world, in a one-on-one battle. I mean, seriously, what else can Luffy possibly do to get any stronger than this? The only thing I can think of is that he needs a bit better understanding of Gear 5, which would allow him to waste less energy and stay transformed for longer. A lot of people still believe Luffy will eventually unlock Gear 6, but that just makes no sense, as he himself said that Gear 5 is his peak. By the end of the story, Luffy will become king of the pirates and the strongest character in One Piece, even stronger than Roger. He's surely going to defeat both Akainu and Blackbeard, and if he gets a matchup against Inu, he'll defeat them as well. In the end, Luffy will be in a league of his own. As for his bounty, it's going to be exactly 5,656,000,000 berries. This would make his bounty slightly higher than Roger's, which would make sense, and it'll also work really well with the name of his devil fruit. Gomu means 5 and 6 after all. Click on this video, where we rank the 15 strongest swordsmen in One Piece.